Hello, everyone, and welcome back to the MTG Goldfish Podcast, episode 116, your weekly podcast covering everything Magic the Gathering related. You can find us on Google Play, iTunes, mtggoldfish.com, and now on YouTube. Joining me, as always, your hosts, Richard, the owner of MTG Goldfish. What is up, Richard?
Hey guys, what's going on?
Not much, doing well. Seth, probably better known as Saffron Olive, our resident jank brewer and all-around content creator for Magic the Gathering. What is up, Seth?
Not much, guys. Just checking out some Amonkhet spoilers. How are you?
We're all doing the same, I'm sure. And Chaz, as always, all-around content creator and focusing on the financial aspects of the game. So, the docket for today is actually not that long. Basically, just Amonkhet spoilers. We're going to dive right in. A lot of cards have been spoiled since the last time we talked with you all. And then we're going to talk about some fish mail. So, awesome. Can't wait for that. Without further ado, let's, before, I wanted to ask, at least before we jumped into the specific cards, just really quickly, how do you feel about the set looking at the cards that were revealed between last week? Now we have a lot more to talk about, and this week. Just real quick. Overall general view. Richard.
I'm going to start off the cast on a negative note. I don't know. I'm not as hype as I want to be. Part of it is probably the split cards, which Seth has talked about in an article. They just don't feel special. But we did get Liliana, so I'm hyped for that. But I don't know. Something's off to me with the set. I don't know what it is, and maybe we can discuss it after we discuss spoilers, but it doesn't have the same magic as Theros had, and there's something weird. I don't know what it is, but we do have some hype planeswalkers. I'm a little down on the Aftermath cards. The gods, which we'll talk about in a bit, are a little underwhelming. And I'm just waiting for Bolas to come and shake things up. But maybe that's Hour of Devastation.
All right. Seth, what do you think? You did write, Richard alluded to, you did write an article about Aftermath. It was not very... You didn't hold back any punches on that one, I gotta say.
Well, I mean, it is like the worst mechanic since Skulk, I think, so. No, I mean, the set's okay. I think Richard actually described it in a really good way, and I had been feeling the same thing, but hadn't really come up with the words to put to it, but something is just odd or off or weird about this set, and I can't really put my finger on it either. Like, there's a lot of interesting stuff. The power level, apart from potentially the Planeswalkers, seems comparatively low, compared to Kaladesh, where the power level was pretty pushed. And, I mean, the flavor's cool. There's some interesting, fun-looking cards. It seems like, as I've been talking about and writing about and doing videos about the cards, something I've said a ton is like, this probably won't be good enough for Standard, but it's gonna be awesome in Commander, awesome in Casual. So that's kind of my impression of the set so far. Some really sweet things for non-Standard formats, but I'm not seeing a ton that's off the charts powerful for Standard.
Well, I think I have to go the other way. It kind of reminds me of, like, looking at Kamigawa right after we left Mirrodin Block. Like, you're so used to Ravager Affinity and all these broken mechanics, and then you had Kamigawa, people were kind of like, oh, this is like the worst set, like, worst block ever, because, like, none of these cards are good. And I think that's, like, on the surface, what we kind of have here with Amonkhet. I'm still excited. I get that, you know, a good percentage of players are not really happy with what they're seeing. Maybe that's due to the fact that they're kind of being a little hesitant about pushing so many spoilers through like they normally done before. I mean, by this time we've almost would have known the whole set by now, so I kind of like that it kind of harkened back to the way I'm kind of used to spoilers, that it really did go the full 2 weeks before people started went to the pre-releases and stuff. I mean, you literally got it that Friday, and you didn't know the entire set until then. So I kind of like that they're kind of holding back on that. But yeah, I guess I can see some of the concerns, but I still think we're looking at like Kamigawa, and I just have this weird feeling. I think there is that weird feeling that both of you are having. The feeling I'm getting is that it's the Goldfish curse. We're like, these cards are decent, and I don't know yet, and then they end up being like the best cards ever. So there's a part of me that feels that way too.
But isn't Kamigawa still thought of as being one of the worst sets and blocks in Magic's history, even with like hindsight 15 years in the future? Like, is that a good comparison? Like, do we want this to be Kamigawa?
Wait, how did we get here? I think we're in the minority in not quote unquote liking this set. I think most people actually like it. I haven't really heard that many negative things. One thing was weird was the pacing of the spoilers. We got a lot of commons and uncommons very early in spoiler season. So that could have done it. And while you guys were talking, I think I placed my finger on it. Outside of Embalm and the art, nothing screams Egyptian themed whatever gods to me. You know, in Theros we had a lot of flavorful cards that alluded back. Maybe it's just because we all know kind of the Greek mythology better, but you had like 100-handed one that was awesome, and you know, even without seeing the art of the card, you knew this was, you know, something unique and something special. Whereas Embalm is the only mechanic we've seen that does anything with Egyptian stuff that, you know, we think of. And everything else, you know, -1/-1 counters, aftermath, cycling, that's just standard Magic affair. So I think for me, it's not a power level concern. I don't know what the power level is, but it's not really that. It's more of I was really hyped up for this Egyptian plane, and so far it's like, and then the gods being kind of mediocre isn't really helping that, because if the gods of your world are mediocre, like, what's left, right?
Yeah, but that doesn't mean it's any less like Egyptian. I mean, I get that Bomb's like the in your face, this is Egyptian, but like, yeah, -1/-1 counters have been in Magic before, but that kind of does pertain to an Egyptian style themed set. You know, you're weakening things. There's plagues. There's like locusts. There's that one artifact with brick counters. There's some interesting stuff. I get that it doesn't all scream Egyptian right on the surface, and you're right. Embalm is kind of the one that's really out there, but I think overall it's generally on theme. So I don't think it's really that. I just think we're kind of coming out of Kaladesh block, and we're used to Heart of Kiran and Aetherworks Marvel and like all these really degenerate like energy style decks, and kind of looking at this, hoping there's like something immediate that we can see that can deal with this stuff. And I've been seeing the reverse, Richard. I'm seeing a lot of like, yeah, they like the set, but like what's gonna be good in standard? What's gonna stop the Heart of Kiran? What's gonna stop Gideon? And I think like that's all well and good, but that's
Gideon's gonna stop
there
Gideon.
you go. See.
I don't know. We'll talk about it, but I think there are a lot of powerful cards. But I just think there's nothing unique about this set. Like, I don't know. I didn't get the same feeling with Kaladesh, Return to Ravnica, Shadows of Innistrad. Like, I really felt they felt unique. Whereas this, you know, the art is different, but outside of that, it could have been a core set or something, right? Like, it doesn't. I don't know. Maybe that's just the downside of using -1/-1 counters and cycling as your key mechanics, and Aftermath, which is not even a mechanic. It's just like 2 spells. So I don't know. But I didn't want to start the cast off with a negative note, because I'm actually pretty hyped for some of these.
Yeah. So let's talk about that. Let's do that. Yeah.
Let's go straight to the cards. First Planeswalker revealed. Gideon of the Trials. 1 white. 3 loyalty, Planeswalker Gideon. +1 until your next turn, prevent all damage target permanent would deal. 0, Gideon becomes a 4/4 human soldier with indestructible, prevents all damage to him. 0, you get an emblem with, as long as you control Gideon, a Gideon Planeswalker, you can't lose the game and your opponents can't win the game.
This is crazy.
So we have like Platinum Angel on a Gideon at 3 converted mana cost.
How much more can you jam onto a 3-mana walker? I mean, this is crazy. I don't know. Maybe I think people are immediately saying like overhyped and all that stuff, and that's all well and good, but let's not detract. Like, this is a good card. I get the hype thing, but that doesn't make this any less of a good card. I think there's a lot of different applications, not entirely on the surface. I mean, I think, me personally, if Heart of Kiran was not on the ban, like the red alert, like this needs to be banned list in standard, this is certainly gonna put it there. This seems crazy with Heart of Kiran.
Yeah, that's pretty insane curve. The big question is it immediately going to replace old Gideon in a deck like Mardu Vehicles? And that's up for debate. I really have no idea. I think you got to play test it and see, but this card feels absurdly powerful. Like, it's so strong. Just, it protects itself. It's a indestructible, you can't deal with it 4/4 beater for 3 mana, and I think that people misunderstand the emblem, but it's very good at buying you a turn or two. If you can play this and emblem it, it's not going to be a worship lock or a platinum angel that sits out there forever, but it's going to buy you a couple turns. And when you're beating down with indestructible 4/4s and Heart of Kirans and all this stuff, a couple of turns is usually all you need. And I've heard people saying Modern, Legacy, even there's some decks that if you just play a Gideon before sideboarding, they literally just can't beat a Gideon emblem like Storm or something. They just kind of scoop it up. So it'll be really interesting. And I think this card is, to me, it's the Liliana of the Veil of Gideons. This is the 3 mana Gideon that could see play in all formats.
I think Gideon is overhyped, and I agree with your Liliana of the Veil assessment. In standard, like, solid to average, maybe slightly above average, but then we'll see play in other formats where he'll shine. In standard, if you have a 4/5 blocker, like, Gideon does nothing, right? Like, you can just block Gideon all day. Sure, you can't win the game, but Gideon's not going anywhere. Like, he's not building to an ultimate. He's just preventing damage and sitting there. And it's really the Heart of Kiran synergy that puts him over the top, because now when you +1, you can keep crewing Heart of Kiran. But other than that, like in a mid-range matchup or in an aggro deck, I don't think he's that good. And I think you take Ally of Zendikar over Gideon any day. Where he really shines is just randomly hosing people that aren't ready for him. If you're a creatureless control deck and someone just throws down a Gideon and emblems, like, okay, you just got. You need an answer. Same with like Legacy. Someone's playing Ad Nauseam or something game 1, you just throw down a Gideon and they can't win. And, post board, they'll have stuff to bounce stuff, but it's kind of like playing main deck Leyline. Like, you can just randomly get wins off of this, which I think is pretty cool, because it's not as hard of a lock as, say, Platinum Angel or something. You can just go wide with creatures and kill Gideon. So I like that Wizards did this. It's a hoser, but it can be overcome. It's not that specific. So I actually really like Gideon. I don't know why Gideon keeps getting good cards. This is like another Gideon that's really good. Like, can we not spread the love and make some other planeswalkers besides Gideon? So this is his last hurrah, probably. He's gonna die, so they might as well give him a good card. But that 0, that emblem is like his death, right? Gatewatch cannot lose with Gideon sitting around, so something's gonna happen to Gideon.
I do think this is a good foreshadowing for Gideon exiting the Gatewatch.
Maybe he comes black as a black-white planeswalker zombie. I don't know. Or maybe he's just gone forever like Venser. But it'll be interesting to see what Bolas does to Gideon, but I can't see him surviving. He's going to take one for the team, I think.
Interesting. Yeah, I honestly think this replaces Gideon, Ally of Zendikar. I don't know. I mean, I know Mardu Vehicles, maybe there's like a 2-2 split or something like that, but to me, shutting down their Heart of Kiran and paving the way for your Heart of Kiran is, I mean, pretty one-sided. I mean, you could just attack with impunity with your Heart of Kiran, and you basically just lock their Heart of Kiran out of the game. You can even target their Gideon, so it stops them from attacking and creating it, making it into a 5/5. Because it is permanent, so you could technically do that. I think you're right. Both of you are right in the fact that this is just a random, like, worship that you can't directly interact with. That just the emblem never goes away. I understand you can bolt Gideon into the trials in other formats. Like, there is still Lightning Bolt. That is still a thing. But the fact that any Gideon turns this emblem on is kind of interesting, because maybe somehow another, I know some Jeskai lists or these blue-white control lists that have started popping up play like a one of Gideon Jura, the 5 mana one. So that's kind of interesting.
And Gideon Jura is so hard to kill.
Oh, there's no way this will replace Gideon Jura. There's no way. There's no way he's going to replace allies because they're both Gideons, so you can't play them at the same time. So are you really going to cut ally Zendikar to put in some Gideon the Trials? Like, if it was Liliana the Trials and it did this, like, you might actually play them all because you can, but you don't want to be Gideon flooded. It's going to be pretty bad. And will you really cut ally Zendikar for this?
I don't think cut it completely, but I think you can make a strong case for both of them.
I think you got to play test it. I don't know the answer to that yet. I'm leaning towards you still play Ally of Zendikar, but I don't think it's impossible that we find out after playtesting that some number of Gideon of the Trials is maybe correct.
Yeah, it's just all around great.
All right. So next walker in line is Liliana, Death's Majesty. 3 black, 5 loyalty, Planeswalker Liliana. +1, put a 2/2 black zombie creature token into play. Put the top 2 cards of your library into your graveyard. -3, return target creature card from your graveyard to the battlefield. That creature is a black zombie in addition to its other colors and types. -7, destroy all non-zombie creatures.
So, up for some more Felidar Guardian shenanigans? Not that like that's any better, but
So what is the combo? The combo is Guardian, Liliana, and what's
there's
our
like
best
this
sack
2
outlet?
mana 1/1, I think, something like that. That like can sack a creature, so it gets +1/+1. I believe it's black.
So you sacrifice Guardian,
Yep.
reanimate it, target Liliana, keep doing it, but then your Guardians don't have haste.
Yeah, but you have a million creature.
And then Fatal Push. Gotcha.
Yeah. I know it's not as viable, but I was kind of just being facetious.
That's...
No, I was actually curious what the current
I think
iteration
you'd
of
have
this
to go-
combo
I think
is.
that's it, but
I think-
I could be wrong.
I mean, it's super convoluted, but if you could get a Zulaport Cutthroat or Blood Artist out there, then you could win the game with it without attacking. I don't know if that would be relevant compared to the combo that we have.
None of which are standard legal.
Zulaport
Do we have
Cutthroat
a
still
draining-
is. Yeah, it's in Battle for Zendikar, so that's still in the format.
Oh, it's BFZ.
But I think
Yep.
what excites me about this is the -3. I mean, the going rate for reanimating something in standard for like the past 5 years is 5 mana. So when you look at Liliana as like already on par for just a reanimation spell, if it wasn't a Planeswalker, didn't do anything else, and this has tons of upside. So if you ever interested in trying to reanimate something, this is easily the way to go in standard. And it does a lot more than that. Plussing to make a token is super powerful and it fuels the graveyard. So it's 5 mana, which makes me think like Obnixilis range, 1 of, 2 of in like certain decks. I don't think you just jam 4 Lilianas, but this is a really strong card, I think.
Yeah, I agree with you. It does scream Omnixilus to me, and it's actually a little bit. It's kind of off, Omnixilus. Omnixilus is like here's like 3 black cards in Magic's history. This is at least a little bit more spicy. You can do different things, and I agree with you, Seth. The going rate. I think the last reanimation spell was 4 and a black. It was like Liliana something. Is it even in standard right now? I think.
I think there is one. I don't remember the name of it.
Yeah. Oh, Ever After 6
We
is
had
2.
Ever After, too.
So yeah, this is still a pretty strong. At nothing else, you were going to pay 5. You get to keep a Planeswalker. There's a lot of good, cycle outlets. There's cycling. There's cards like Cathartic Reunion. There's a way to fill the graveyard pretty quickly. And then by the time you play Liliana, there's just a Torrential Gearhulk just hanging out in your graveyard. There's any kind of Gearhulk. So there's definitely some possibilities here. It's a strong walker. I don't think it's like crazy like $60 Planeswalker because it is 5 mana, so there is that limitation. But overall, 3 great abilities. It protects itself. I mean, what more do you want?
Yeah, I think Lily is like a slightly worse Obnixilis, and you'll see her as a 1 to 2 of in sideboards for some reason, or for certain matchups, and then for some reason, if you want to reanimate her deck, then you could jam 4 Lilies. But reanimator decks are probably a little sketchy, given all the graveyard hate we're seeing in this set, and all the graveyard hate people have to pack anyway just for stuff like Scrap Heap Scrounger and stuff like that. You don't want to get incidentally hated on. But yeah, I think Liliana's okay. Her ultimate is what's disappointing. It doesn't really win the game. It's just a Wrath of God. Whereas like on Mixilus, you can just have an empty board ultimate and then you're on your way to victory. But other than that, the art is sweet. Making zombies protects her. You get to mill Feeling Delirium, getting more embalmed creatures and things. And cycling is the big thing in this set. So if we have some like heavy hitter cycling creatures, you can cycle them on, turn 4, Liliana, and then minus on turn 5 to bring back your big dirtily cycly dude. So there are a lot of synergies. She's not just like an outright powerful Mixilus that just is good in every situation, but she has specific situations where she'll shine.
Interesting, it won't kill your own god cards, so that's something to consider. We haven't seen the Black God as of right now as we're recording, so...
Well, it won't kill any gods, right?
So,
because they're all indestructible.
Also won't kill your opponent's god cards. Kind of an upside and a downside.
Yeah.
And their mummies, like you can't hit them. The evolved creatures are also zombies.
I really like this card, even if it never saw play in standard. I really like it as a card just because zombies are super powerful or popular in commander and casual play. It's like one of people's favorite tribes. So I think it's really sweet that they kind of have their own planeswalker. That's how I see this card. Like I think you'll see Fringe 1 of 2 of play in standard, but it seems like anyone who builds a casual zombie deck for their kitchen table is going to want this card in it just because it's so perfect for that deck and what people are trying to do.
Yeah, that's a good point.
Just an Engeralf right there made. It should just have like the word partner on it or something.
Yeah, I mean, it's the easiest thing to throw in there. And you're right, it's pretty much all on curve when it comes to zombies. So there's a lot of different interactions. And yeah, the only reason I brought it up is because, maybe there's some Grixis or blue-black control where you have like Kefnet or something like that. So it's good to keep those around, even though it doesn't kill opponent's gods. But
all right, next up we have Vizier of the Menagerie, 3 green, 3/4 Naga Cleric. You may look at the top card of your library. You may cast the top card of your library if it's a creature card. You may spend mana as though it were mana of any type to cast creature spells.
All right, first green mythic. Still don't have the green god, but that's okay. We get this in the meantime. I don't think. I mean, it's solid. But I just don't know where it sees play in standard. But I gotta say, cards like these, like effects like these, are just A+ overall, amazing in Commander and EDH. Like every kind of card that does these type of things is an automatic like auto include in anything that can play this color. Oracle of Moldiah, Courser of Crufix. What was the other one? Well, there was another one, I think. Like the channelers from Rise of Eldrazi,
Moldiah channelers.
Then there was like the Rin and Mina Den Wildborn or something like that from Oath. Like every kind of card that does stuff like this, where you can look at the top card, like cheat stuff into play by casting off the top of your library, is really successful in Commander.
Well, this is better than those cards because you don't have to reveal. All of those other cards force you to reveal. I think this is the first time we get to not reveal, which is interesting.
That's so weird. Why do you think that is? Do you think they're just changing how these cards are formatted and this will be how it is moving forward?
Maybe. Could just be this specific card, but that could be a possibility.
I mean, for me, this is like the green future sight, sort of, is kind of how I see it. I think this card will be really overrated by some people for like standard and whatnot. I don't think it's very good there. It just doesn't really do much when it enters the battlefield. Like the nice thing about Oracle of Moldiah, even Courser, if you play it on turn 4, is that you immediately can play an extra land. So you're always getting that ramp value or getting some value, even if your opponent kills it. Like they can't stop that. Since you gotta actually cast the creature, even though it fixes your mana, you still gotta spend mana. So it seems like unless it's way in the late game, it's gonna be pretty unlikely you can play this and then immediately get value by playing a creature with it, unless you have a ton of mana. But I do agree with you, Chaz. I think this is going to be all over the place in Commander, and tons of people will play it. I almost wish it was a legend just for that reason.
Yeah, me too.
Well, I'm going to be that guy. We haven't discussed this very pressing issue from Amonkhet, but here it is. Why is this a Naga and not a snake? Why must they continue to split snake people into two tribes?
What?
It's not legendary, but if it was, you couldn't even make a legendary snake deck. You'd have to make a legendary Naga deck and then have these like random snakes in there. I just wish they collapsed them into the same tribe. It's
blame
the
World of
same
Warcraft
race
I
of
think.
things.
Like Naga are like humanoid snakes, and then there's just snake.
What is a snake?
Like a literal snake.
The magic snakes are sort of humanoid too, though. Even the snakes. And yeah,
Except
well,
the
yeah,
ambush
like
fight.
the
There's,
Kamigawa ones.
some
But
of
then
them are
there's
real
like
snakes.
Honored Hydra, the one that was spoiled today, and that's like a snake Hydra, so it's like a snake, but it's not a Naga because it's not a humanoid.
So you have to be humanoid, but aren't there plenty of snakes that are humanoid?
Okay,
but not
I don't
Naga?
know off the top of my head.
Now-
This is egregious because I love Kamigawa. Did the snakes in Kamigawa actually have Naga or snake?
They were just snakes. There were no Naga in Kamigawa.
Oh man, then they
They're
should have just
snakes.
stuck.
Okay. Kaseto is a snake. He's the Kamigawa guy. He has four arms. So Kamigawa, they have four arms, and they're all snakes.
Yeah, I don't know then. That's a fail then.
And then let me find Naga. Let's see. What is Sidisi?
I don't know. I
That's
think
Naga. That's a
Naga.
Naga.
Ikra Shadiki
Naga.
is a Naga.
I think it's
Sidisi's a Naga.
Yes,
Yeah,
it's
so then that
just-
doesn't make.
Yeah. Doesn't make any sense whatsoever.
It
don't know
mostly
then.
seems weird to me that it's in the same set. Like, if you want to have Naga and have snakes, whatever, I don't care. But it seems weird that you're having, like, snakes and Naga in the same set. Like, why do you need to do that? Just, like, print all the Amonkhet ones can be one or the other, and then in the future,
Yeah.
next set, do the other one or whatever.
Yeah, I think that's.
It's a big blow to tribal
is.
snake players everywhere
is.
in EDH. We're gonna have to petition.
Errata legendary.
we're gonna need to Oracle update these cards before they're even released.
Just cross off Naga, put snake, just put in legendary, and there you go.
All right, let's move on to probably one of my favorite cards of the set, Champion of Rhonas. 3 to green, 3/3, Jackal Warrior. You may exert Champion of Rhonas as it attacks. When you do, you may put a creature card from your hand onto the battlefield.
Is the reason you're excited is a Jackal Warrior? No.
It's a Jackal, which is pretty good, but it's really good. You can cast a creature for free, and all you need to do is attack, and you don't even have to hit the person. You just need to, like, chump attack, and you get to drop something into play.
I do like the fact that this is kind of a different take on Elvish Piper, a card that has not been standard for a long time. But despite there's a lot of printings. I love green. I don't see the hype. Like, I just don't see the hype. Like, I think it's solid. I don't know. Like, I would like to play this. Maybe I'll try it in standard, but I just don't know. Like, all the best stuff you would cast from your hand is, like, all on cast stuff, isn't it?
Gear Hulks?
Yeah, but you could pretty much already play Gear Hulk.
Just like, I'll just casually get 6 mana for free or 5
But you're
mana
already
for free
playing the
and
Gear Hulk
pump
like
my
a turn,
team.
like the same turn you would be playing it with this.
Well, no, but then you can use that mana to do other
okay,
things.
I guess.
I mean, you literally just got like 5 to 6 mana for free. It can be a combat trick if you like bring in a Verdurous Gear Hulk.
Yeah.
You can just drop an Ulamog off this. You don't get the cast triggers, but you still have a 10/10 destructible. But just as a tempo play, and 4 mana 3/3, it's behind the curve, but not that much, right? Like, even if you're hellbent and you play this thing, you're hitting them for 3, and you're not doing anything, special. So I think it's pretty good.
Yeah, I think it'll be really popular in Commander because people love their Elvish Vipers.
Oh,
we did.
No, I got that.
Yes.
I don't really see it in Standard. It's just such a hard sell because sort of like we were talking about with the Vizier or whatever it is. It just doesn't do anything when it comes into play. So you just kind of play this hill giant and hope that you untap with it, and then hope that you have something good in your hand to put into play. So I don't know, like at 4 mana, why don't you just play Aetherworks Marvel and literally win the game?
That's kind of where I was going. I mean, okay, there are cards that can like give it haste or whatever, and like there's Hazard's Favor, so you can play like Hazard's Favor, like you can curve into this, and I'm trying here, okay? I'm trying, alright? I know, I don't know if this is good, but so you play this on turn 4, it gets haste, you can attack, you play a Gear Hulk. Alright, that's like pretty good, I guess. And then you add whatever you played on turn 1 and 2.
Yeah.
Or you could do like turn 1 something, turn 2 the Channel or Initiate, and you're still kind of behind because...
Well, so what if you just do this? You play Champion of Rhonas, you cast a Verdur's Gear Hulk, you attack dropping another Verdur's Gear Hulk into play.
That's
that's like
good. Like that's
super
so
Christmas land.
That's not. That's not.
No, wait.
But it's not, right? That's your deck. Like, don't play Ulamogs. That's probably a bad idea. Like, don't play uncastable creatures, but just playing, 4 or 5 mana creatures and getting a 4 or 5 mana tempo boost.
No, it's
Seems good.
And as far as a hill giant, and you just told me last week that a 3 mana 4/3 was bad. So how can this be good?
Well, this has the upside of dropping.
No, but I'm just talking about like just looking
play.
at the curve. I said nothing else. It's a 3 mana 4/3, and you're like, oh,
Yeah,
that's
it's below
horrible.
the curve.
And I was like, okay. And then now suddenly 4 mana 3/3 is okay. I don't know, Richard.
It's a buffed wood elves. It's gone from 1/1 to 3/3.
And it costs
You gotta
3
think
more
about
mana.
it like that.
Oh, it does seem sweet with Combat Celebrant, so you can untap it and get extra turns and keep putting more things.
No,
into
like
play.
legitimately, outside Verdur's Gear Hulk, like is there anything? Like we didn't see the Green God, so there is that. Outside of Verdur's Gear Hulk, is like there anything that's actually worth it? Because 4 Gear Hulks does not make this card like.
Yeah,
I don't
all
know,
Gear Hulks
the
are
other
pretty
Gear
good.
Hulk, like Torrential, like all Gear Hulks.
Not the white
Noxious
one.
Gear
Not
Hulk?
all.
Alright.
Not the white Gear
I
Hulk.
mean, are there no creatures above
No.
4
I was
worth playing
asking.
in Standard?
I was just asking. I mean, outside of Gear Hulk, is there other viable stuff?
The real question is
Like discount Ulamog. You're right. I don't think we should play like Ulamog just because it's 10/10.
the real question is, does it combo with Felidar Guardian in any way, Chaz? Fill us in on the combo. I'm going to ask you this every card for the rest of the podcast. What's the combo?
No, I don't think there. There probably is one.
I can't think of one, but
I think there's always a combo with Felidar Guardian. No, I really wasn't trying to like. I was just saying that Liliana, there is something with Felidar Guardian. So just wanted to point that out. No, but yeah, I don't see anything on the surface with Felidar Guardian. I'll get back to you though.
okay, I'll be waiting.
All right. Combat Celebrant. 2 and a red. It's a 4/1. If Combat Celebrant hasn't been exerted this turn, you may exert it as it attacks. When you do, untap all other creatures you control, and after this phase, there is an additional combat phase.
It's aggressive. These effects are usually like 5 mana or more, so
Yeah, that is true.
it's super fragile. So you're gonna get 1 use out of it, and it's gonna die to a servo token. But if you can build a deck that really can take advantage of that combat phase, maybe.
Not super liking that this dies to Walking Ballista like pretty much for free. So
Yeah, Walking Ballista kind of stops us in its tracks. Is there any way you can go infinite?
there,
with
I
this
did
in
see
Standard?
a way that you can go infinite with, like that you could do this. I don't know if it's standard.
Does it involve the Guardian?
No, it's not the Guardian.
I know with
trying to
Kiki-Jiki in
figure it
Modern
out.
you can.
Oh yeah, Kiki-Jiki, but I don't know if there was a standard one also. I did not see that, but I did see the Kiki-Jiki one. Like the thing is though, it's like there's a lot of stuff that's infinite with Kiki-Jiki. Like why this?
Yeah, that is very true.
I'm saying it's good. It's just you can.
and
It doesn't have haste, so you're kind of slow. You're kind of slow down here. It's a 4/1, so it dies to basically anything across the battlefield, including -1/-1 counters and walking ballistas. but it's exciting. I mean, if you get to connect, it's pretty good. But I don't think it's good for standard, but I like the design of this, and I'm sure people will try to use it in EDH, which will probably be even harder
yeah, definitely harder.
I think it's actually kind of scary in EDH because it's pretty easy to play like Hammer of Perforos and give it haste, and then you send this at whoever doesn't have a creature, probably me if it was Commander Clash, because I'm dirtling and playing tap lands, and then you can swing your other creatures at other people and still get the extra combat and keep your combat Celebrant.
Yeah, I really like it in conjunction with, what's the red card that doubles all damage? The
insult to
card.
injury, something like that?
Insult to injury.
Yeah, you basically quadruple your power there. And if you have a double striker, then you 8 times the power you have if you combat Celebrant Insult. So there's a possibility for quite explosive turns with these cards, but it's glass cannon all in. Walking ballista counter will take this thing out.
Yeah.
So that's the unfortunate downside of this.
It does get hit off Collected Company. Now that is kind of interesting.
Oh, that is true.
That is a good thing for the Kiki thing. No Feldar Guardian thing, anything though. But I'll get back to you on this one.
All right, let's move on to blue mythics. We have 2 and a blue enchantment. As Foretold. At the beginning of your upkeep, put a time counter on As Foretold. Once each turn, you may pay 0 rather than the mana cost for a spell you cast with converted mana cost X or less, where X is the number of time counters on As Foretold.
Okay, just on the surface, this like boosted certain cards like Restore Balance and Lotus Bloom into the Stratosphere since it was revealed. I don't know. I really don't. I can see arguments for it. Like, I guess you can get this out kind of early with like a Simian Spirit Guide or something like that to get like going, but just straight up. I mean, you play this on turn 3. Let's just say turn 3. Does playing Restore Balance at that point that's still pretty good, right? So
yes,
yeah,
that's
still pretty good. Again, Simian Spirit Guide makes anything like much more interesting. So I don't know. I think this could go some places.
I'm gonna call it modern playable, and we're gonna see a deck. The problem with Restore Balance, Living End, all that stuff is you gotta cascade into them, or you gotta Goblin Dark Dwellers into them. And there are a lot of deck restrictions in place if you want to cascade into a Restore Balance. But now you can just play this 3 mana spell and then just cast Restore Balance. And I would totally 2-for-1 myself to Restore Balance because you know what? If they have more cards than you, they're going down in cards anyway. Are you behind? Well, they're losing all their creatures anyway. So I think it's worth it just for the Restore Balance. And you get to play Visions. You get to play a whole bunch of other stuff with As Foretold. And as the turns go by and this ticks up, you can actually play your normal spells, your Serum Visions, your whatever else you had in your deck can be played for free. And it's once per turn. So each turn cycle, you get your turn and your opponent's turn. So you can cast 2 free spells per turn. So I actually think it's pretty good. And Restore Balance is what makes it good, because that card is insane.
Yeah, I mean, Restore Balance is really powerful. I think the question for me, and I think this is of a power level where it can see modern play, is it's going to be challenging to find the right build of the deck, because I don't think you can just play As Foretold and Restore Balance and be like, okay, this is going to work out. I think you're going to need additional ways to restore balance, which might mean you still need to have the cascade spells, which means you still have the deck building restriction. So that's what I'm mostly interested in. But just like in a vacuum, the ability is powerful enough and the payoff is big enough that if people can find the way to put this deck together, it seems like it could be at least like a legitimate second tier deck in Modern, like a playable deck that can actually keep up with the best decks in Modern.
Yeah, this card out of most of the cards we talked about I'm more excited for constructed play rather than like Commander EDH play. Like I facetiously was talking about like an against the odds list, but no, this is actually like legitimate.
I think it's also super awesome. I don't remember who it was. It might be Ethan Fleischman. Whoever spoiled it said that they viewed this card as the ether vial for Commander, and it is pretty sweet in Commander. If you just like proliferate a few times, you have 4 turns each turn cycle, so you can cast so much stuff for free. So while I am mostly excited for it for Constructed and the possibilities in Modern, I think it will see a ton of play in Commander too. I think it's good in both.
Yeah.
Yep, all you need is one deep glow skit.
Yes.
Power this sucker up.
It does
and you're
need
good
to sit
go.
out there a little bit longer. So I know the comparison to like Omniscience were made. I think Omniscience, there's like easier ways to get that out, but
no, because you win the game as soon as you cast Omniscience. As soon as you cast this, you're gonna die, which is probably why it's a bad card.
Probably, yeah. Because
you can't protect yourself, you can't do anything, and you're just gonna die as soon as you cast this. But it's that powerful, right? All right, let's move on to the gods. Last week we had Hezeret. This week we have Kefnet and Oketra. So Kefnet the Mindful, 2 and a blue, 5/5, flying indestructible. Kefnet the Mindful can't attack or block unless you have 7 or more cards. Pay 3 and a blue, draw a card, then you may return a land you control to its owner's hand.
It literally has a Kamigawa ability for you, Chaz. Wasn't that like a mechanic? You have to have 7 or more cards in your hand?
I don't know. No, I don't think so.
All right.
I know there was like return a land, like draw a card, like kind of stuff, like Moloku and stuff. But I don't know if you needed 7 cards for anything. Did you?
I don't. Maybe I'm wrong. So
maybe not.
What do you?
You could be right.
Let me ask you something. Now that we've seen these gods, do they all strike you as very reminiscent and similar to the original ones? Like the mana costs are all the same. The abilities are even like kinda somewhat the same. The power and toughness is the same. Like that can't be by accident, right? They intentionally made it this way.
I was going to actually ask you guys the same question because that's the first thing that popped into my head was like, what? So this one's 3 again, red is 4 again, and even the white one's 5 again, or 4 again.
Yeah, and even like Thassa was a 5/5, Kefnet's a 5/5. Like, there's a lot of similarities between this cycle and the first one.
Heliod was like, what, a 5/4 or something like that?
5/6. So Oketra actually has 1 extra power if you include the double strike ability. But it makes a token for 4 mana. Like, it's like very similar.
I don't know. I think it's a stretch. I mean, they're similar, but this is similar to like every other blue card. It's like, oh, it's flying.
Yeah, but no, Richard, come on. They like literally all have the exact same casting cost as the old god like cards.
Because they want to aggressively price them, otherwise you won't play them. Even though you still won't play them, but
so
like what are you gonna put? Like you're gonna put it like 4 mana cost? Like what are you gonna do?
Yeah, but why just the blue one? So but if the green one's also 4, then it's a lock. Then they're all they definitely ripped the Theros god casting cost.
So if an hour of devastation, it's revealed that the underworlds are linked and Thassa is actually Kefnet, then you got me.
Whoa, that would
you got me. I didn't see it coming.
Crazy.
But if that's what they're doing, then they got me. But I'm gonna say at this point, you need powerful blue card. Like, there's only so many combinations of power and toughness and converted mana costs you can throw together.
More importantly, how good do you guys think this card is?
Everyone keeps saying like, oh, they crew vehicles and this, that, and the other thing. Like, are we playing a 3 mana 5/5 just to crew Heart of Kiran?
I mean,
that can't be like that.
That is.
I guess that's like cool, but
like, we have loop.
That is literally word for word the
loop
and prototype argument that I've heard a million times from people. No, you don't do that. That is a way to build a bad deck and lose over and over. I know personally from experience on Against the Odds.
This might actually be harder than the red one to achieve.
The red one is achievable.
This
one's
has to be
impossible.
the
And if you have 7 cards in hand, like, do you really need this 5/5
you're
flying
definitely
indestructible
winning.
to accomplish anything?
Yeah, I don't know.
I think it could see play. I see it like a one of control finisher type
Yeah.
role, something like that. I think that's what you expect, and that is probably what we should expect from the gods. Like, discounting Mono Blue Devotion, that's what we saw with a lot of the gods last time around. They weren't something you're playing 5 of these. It's like, oh, it's one of, it's on my colors, like how Nylea was in the green decks and so forth back in Theros. So I think that's what I see for Kefnet most likely. I think it will see play, but I expect it to be, the one of control finisher and blue-white control or something like that.
You know, we talked about Hazoret last week, and I was like, and I'm like, kind of lukewarm, but now, like, looking at the other gods, I'm like, just give me Hazoret again. It has haste. Like none of these, it's so hard to keep meet the requirement, and Hazoret, like, is the only one I can legitimately see playing multiples of, because there's actually viable ways to empty your hand and not, like, completely just get blown out.
I think that, actually, we'll talk about it in a second, but I think Oketra is actually pretty easy to turn on, too.
Yeah.
Alright, so unplayable for Kefnet. Let's move to Oketra. I don't think Kefnet's going to see play anywhere at all, even as a...
Really?
No. Would you play an artifact that you paid 3 mana for, and then it has an ability tap to crew any vehicle, and it has another ability pay 4 draw a card?
The second ability. I would play that. Everything else.
Yeah, but it's not.
This is like commander levels where you spend your whole turn in like 8 mana and draw 1 card.
But this is more of like
accomplished.
a traditional control finisher, right? Like it just sits around and then.
Who has 7 cards in hand?
It gives you
like,
it gives you 2
really
cards
hard.
though for its ability.
At the cost of your lands, which therefore hinder your ability to draw cards with its abilities.
Yeah.
Like, I think the idea was you return a land to your hand. It's the cycle land, so you cycle it. And thus you actually get 2 cards out of the deal, but that was 6 mana, and you had to play Kefnet. And like 7
Yeah, but
cards
if you're
is
at
so
5,
much.
with its ability, you go to 7, and then you can attack.
Okay, here's the best case scenario. The best case scenario is they print Wheel of Fortune. you turn 3 Kefnet, and then you turn 4 Wheel and start going to town.
No,
but
just
do you think they'll reprint Wheel of Fortune?
Just think of it as like a 8-drop that only costs 3 mana. Like that's how you think of Kefnet. It's like Etherling or something that you're gonna play way in the late game after you've wrath the board and drawn a bunch of cards, and then eventually after you're firmly in control, you play this, pick up a couple of your lands, beat your opponent down in 3 or 4 turns. Good game.
Or you just play a Gear Hulk and kill them in the same amount of time. You have 7 cards, you have plenty of stuff to protect yourself.
That pesky torrential Gear Hulk being good.
Yeah.
Like, people's argument against Hazoret is it's very hard to get to 0 cards, but I'm gonna say it's like next to impossible to get to 7 cards. Like, unless you just Sphinx's Revelation or something. Like, how do you get 7 cards like 10 turns into the game? Like, that's like really hard. You did nothing the entire game.
I don't think it's hard to get empty-handed for Hazoret. It's just, when you're empty-handed, what's the odds that you're gonna win with Hazoret? Like, it's such a high-risk plan to just go hellbent.
No, I think what Richard was saying is, like, it's easier to meet the condition. Like, it's easier to get to 0 than it is to stay at 7.
Yeah, and plenty of times, like, in a red deck wins deck, you are actually winning off your top deck, or you only have 1 or 2 cards left. Whereas, how many times do you finish the game as control? You have 7 cards in hand, you're like, oh boy, I need a 5/5 flying indestructible to finish this, right? Like, I don't know, it's pretty bad.
Let's talk about the White God. I'm sad now.
The White God is pretty good. The White God is pretty good. So, Oketra the True, 3 and a white, legendary creature god, a 3/6 indestructible double strike, can't attack or block unless you control at least 3 other creatures, pay 4, create a 1/1 white vigilance, a white warrior with vigilance. Most playable god of the bunch?
No, it can't be.
It's literally the White God from Theros, and it was bad.
3 creatures every time. Like, and then it takes what? Like, okay, so all right, you curve into this.
So I didn't say standard all-star. I said
No, I don't.
playable.
I still think it's Hazoret.
You don't think it's playable? I think you're right. Probably Hazard. Yeah, you're probably right.
I think it's Hazard.
But it's not that bad. It's like infinitely more playable than Kefnet.
Okay, yeah.
And 3 creatures is not unheard of. You can get 3 creatures.
It's only when the 3 creatures die, it takes it's going to take a while to get back.
I think it's
3
actually
other creatures.
I think it's actually pretty good. I mean, Battalion was a mechanic in Gate Crash that saw constructed play, and there's decks that already want to be doing this. That's why I think it's going to be good. Like, discounting servos or whatever, all you do is like Thraben Inspector into Thalia's Lieutenant into Thalia, and you have 3 creatures, and you have a 6/6 indestructible, essentially, that can make more creatures. So I think can be the top end of a white aggro curve, or like a white-black token servo curve, kind of like Hazoret could be for a red aggro deck. And I think white aggro or white-black aggro is potentially just more likely to see play in standard than red aggro, so I think that's why I would give the edge to Oketra.
Yeah, it's a good. I mean, and when you're totally out of gas, I mean, you have the 1/1. Like, you can create 1/1s at any point. I mean, the thing with
wait, well, how much is what is it? Mobilization? What is Heliod on an enchantment?
It was mobilization.
It
was 2 and a white, and I think it was 2 to make a token.
Is it 2 or 3?
Only 2? No way. That's like so good.
Yeah, it was a good card.
But I was gonna say that you'll see this in EDH play just for that ability, just for the ability to sit there and pump out tokens. Same like Heliod.
Okay.
So I think definitely in terms of EDH, this will see the most play of the gods we've seen.
So one thing I would say about these gods, and I want your opinion on it real quick, the group that I've maybe seen most disappointed in these, just from my Twitter feed and so forth, is Commander players who compare them to the originals and are like, wow, these are so much worse for Commander. As Commander players, what do you think? Are these disappointing from a Commander player's perspective compared to the original gods?
See where I can get that argument only because some of them, like, we're talking about Hazoret, right? And that seems better and constructed, but I would definitely not play that as my commander. Like, I wouldn't want to play that as my commander. I would definitely play Purphoros over that. Thassa is most likely better than Kefnet in any way possible for commander. And I'd probably give the edge to Oketra on this one when it comes to Heliod versus Oketra. So some may end up being on par or better, and some will be worse.
I like the old ones a lot better because they do stuff to affect the board even when they're not on. So Thassa, you can scry. Heliod gives you vigilance. Purphoros has his annoying abilities. So these guys just don't do anything. And on top of that, they sit on the battlefield waiting to get exiled. Whereas your gods are either sitting in your command zone, if you haven't cast them, or if you've already cast them, they're sitting there as enchantments. And it's much harder to exile an enchantment than it is to exile a creature. So the ability to turn on and off your gods to protect them is also relevant. And I don't know, the original gods are just cooler. These, I feel, are just legendary creatures. They don't feel godly to me. They just feel like special creatures. Whereas the Etheros gods, they were very different because they had the enchantment mechanic and devotion and stuff like that. So I don't know. I prefer the old gods.
I think that's why they feel different, is because you needed the devotion to kind of like bring forth the god. These kind of, you're right, these kind of feel like just one of legendary creatures that just happen to be gods on this realm.
I don't think they're as good as the originals. I think that they're fine, and I guess it gives you more gods if you want to do the god tribal deck, but I can't imagine in most situations. Partly, there's no interesting creature types, they're just gods. So yeah, I think I would play the originals, at least out of all the ones that we've seen so far. I think maybe Oketra was better than the original White God, but otherwise I think the originals are just more exciting and more flavorful, being enchantment creatures and even their characters, and maybe that'll change as we get to see more of Amonkhet, but I think even the characters are more appealing for some reason with the original Theros gods, like more invested in their stories and care more about them than I do these gods at this point.
So why do you think Wizards did not give these gods a type? Could have very easily been legendary creature, cat god. And then you would have had a legendary cat, you would have had a legendary god, you could have made cat tribal. Same with the other gods. Like, why do we not have types when these things are literally like typed, right? They embody a particular tribe.
Yeah, that is a good question. I don't know why.
I'm pretty sure.
I think that would have been great.
Invocations, I think, is the answer. They literally could not fit a type on the invocations.
Really?
That's my
guess. Let's see.
No.
I want to see now. That can't be it. That can't be it.
If they can fit Hazaret the Pervert there, they can fit. What is
I don't know.
I don't
Legendary
know
creature god. I don't know if you have much more room. Maybe Seth is right. No, this can't be.
I think that's it.
I'm sure they could have.
I don't know.
Legendary
creature - god was already taking up a pretty large percentage of the banner. No, that can't be it though.
So those are all the spoilers we're going to talk about today. What's left? What are you guys waiting for the last?
Where's the green god?
Which will
come on.
Well, I mean, obviously he's coming.
Yeah, but
for me, I'm still waiting for, and probably optimistically, and it's not going to happen, but some sort of answer spell. We have another crazy Gideon. Liliana looks strong, and our Planeswalker removal spell.
We got never. Destroy target Planeswalker.
That's Ruinous Path again, and no one even plays more than like one Ruinous Path. Like I still think we need a better answer or two. There's been some steps.
What would it be? I mean, an edict? Hero's downfall?
Yeah, just instant speed. If the front half was instant speed of never, I would be happy.
Quicken?
Not Quicken.
How about a cycling Quicken? There's a Quicken that cycles.
Yeah, I mean. There are some answer spells. So you're looking for specifically Planeswalkers now, because I mean we have where's that card? Manglehorn. We have
Manglehorn is very exciting.
Card's crazy. That card's really good.
This card will see a lot of play.
Yeah, we have Magma Spray. We have the one that was just spoiled today, Censor.
Like every Aftermath card is some kind of answer. It's usually like some mediocre effect on the front side, and then the back side is just like random hoser.
Oh man.
Because we have a bunch of removal, we have exile cards, we have random graveyard hate, we have there's the cycling the cycling artifact hate as well.
Dissenter's Deliverance, we have Scarab Feast. So like suddenly now all these
I think we have
now
enough
all
answers.
of a sudden there's answers.
There's a lot of answers.
I think we've taken some steps in the right direction. But I don't think we're all the way there yet.
I think the problem is the same. Someone said this, but it's not because we don't have answers, but because the threats are so strong that if you go a turn without the answer, you've already lost the game.
Okay.
So I think that's more of a problem as opposed to the fact that, you have to play never at sorcery speed.
Now that we've seen this much of the set, is this gonna change standard? Like, are these answers enough that it's not gonna be 35% 4-color copycat, 35% Mardu vehicles? Or is Amonkhet completely unplayed and it's the same two decks at Pro Tour Amonkhet and for the summer?
It's probably the same decks, but they're playing the answers themselves. Because, they're still the best proactive cards, right? If you want to bash your opponent in, you play Heart of Kiran and Gideon and Walking Ballista and stuff like that. But, some of your answers will be mixed up a bit.
I would like to see more of the set. We're 122 as of recording out of 269. So let's just say, because I'm kind of working under the assumption that Heart of Kiran, Felidar Guardian, or both are going to be gone. Like, that's just, I think it's inevitable.
Oh, you think?
Yeah,
there's
there
a
has
banning?
to be. There's just no way there's not going to be one. I think people are going to be upset.
They printed so much hate.
Yeah, but
there's so much artifact hate.
there is. Like I said, I like Manglehorn. There was already like artifact hate. Like, I get the cycling one's good, but there was already the one from Oath. What was that? The one green, you take out a artifact 3 or less. I get this as cycling, so it's not like completely useless when you don't need it, but I don't know. I just kind of feel like Felidar Guardian Heart have to go. I was just working under that assumption that's why I was kind of more excited for this set, because I'm like, well, those cards are going to have to leave. So, because none of these cards look great. I agree with everybody on that front that none of these cards look great when they're paired up against legitimately overpowered cards. Heart of Kiran is an overpowered card. Like, I don't think any kind of hate card is going to make it any less good. It's still going to see play. You have to have the answer or lose. And, even Manglehorn's like a turn late. I don't know.
Nah, I'm not as concerned for the power level standard as you guys are. I think we will shake things up. It's not a rotation, and you're right. Heart of Kiran will probably be a premier threat still, but now you have answers to it. You have New Gideon. If New Gideon is as good as people say he is, then he should shake up the metagame. You have Fling, which enables jankier combos now. So you do have some enablers. You do have things. I don't think Gods will have an impact, but I think Cycling and -1/-1 counters will have a big impact. Embalm is probably limited only. But I've seen enough answers that you might have the same metagame, but I think you'll see cards from Amonkhet being played. I don't think we're going to have that situation where we go to the Pro Tour, there's no banning, and you literally do not see a card outside of limited. I think you'll see some of these cards dispersed into the existing decks.
I guess that's good then. And I guess we shouldn't expect too much at a non-rotation set release. That's usually not a huge shakeup. And maybe, I'm somewhat hopeful for a control deck based around cycling. Maybe it will have a shot. So I think there's a chance we see some stuff sneak up, but I haven't seen anything that makes me think, okay, like Mardu Vehicles is not going to be tier 1 anymore, or Saheeli Rai combo is not going to be tier 1 anymore. There's nothing, and I don't even know what card they would have printed. Maybe Pithing Needle, maybe Hero's Downfall that would be able to do that. And I don't even know if a format where you start your deck with 4 main deck Pithing Needle is where Wizards want Standard to be anyway.
Yeah, you would never play 4 main deck Pithing Needles, which is why Manglehorn is so good. It's a 3-mana 2/2, and it just destroys artifacts and makes them enter the battlefield tapped, so it stops the hasty vehicles as well. So I think those kind of cards, or what's Revoker? Phyrexian Revoker would be a good card.
I think the nice thing is you kind of want something that can attack Saheeli combo and Heart of Kiran, and Pithing Needle or Revoker is the first thing that comes to mind. Like,
Magma Spray.
Wait, does Magma Spray hit? So it's only
players?
Good against Mardu Vehicles.
Never mind.
So we're in this weird place where you have cards that are good against one or the other. So you got to kind of pick your poison, but we'll see. Maybe it'll be enough to shake things up.
All right, let's move on to fish mail.
Yes.
If you have questions, send them to @MTGGoldfish with the hashtag MTGFishmail, and we'll try to get to your questions on cast. First question from Emmett Yeager. You guys are stranded on a desert island with only one deck from each format. What do you bring?
Commander.
No. So for every format, you have a deck.
Oh, every format. Okay.
All right. Let's say standard, modern, commander.
Yeah.
We'll go with those 3.
Standard, modern, commander. Standard. Can it be any standard?
Yeah.
Sure. I don't know.
Make up your own rules.
You're asking very specific questions, Chaz.
Yeah. Sorry. I guess for this standard, I'll still stick with the black-green snake. Commander, I will stick with Leovold. I don't care. And modern will just still be Affinity.
For me, I guess in standard, we'll go with 4-color copycat out of the options that we have in Modern, Freewind Red, and in Legacy. Oh man, or not Legacy, Commander. I don't even know. Watch Commander Clash this coming week. That deck. I can't tell you what it is though. But it's my favorite deck I've played in Commander, I think, ever.
Wow.
All right. For me, standard. I don't really care. Maybe black, green, ballista. I'm not expecting to play this. Modern, Jund, obviously. Commander, probably Ghoul Caller Jissa, or maybe Jissa and Geralf. But either black zombies or black blue zombies. That's my choice. That's not Kithkin. My real choice is actually zombies, if you don't know. Next question from @DrStrange PhDs. You guys were a gateway drug, but can I trust other podcasts? Investors sharing investing advice equals conflict of interest. No?
Yeah. I mean, that is something to be aware of. I think that you just need to, if you can, try to get to know the people a little bit and judge them like you would anything else. The problem isn't unique to Magic. If you listen to some stock market podcasts, you don't really know what someone's motivation is either. So just try to get to know the people and judge their credibility for yourself rather than just taking everything you hear at face value, I guess.
Yeah, that is well said. We try to be transparent. We're very open and honest about what we talk about. And it's for a very good reason. We've done the podcast for a long time. And I think, I fully agree with Seth. You have to take each podcast. It's like its own little entity and, listen and kind of judge and, reflect on what you hear.
All right. Thunder FGC. If a new unset isn't possible, would you settle for a master style reprint of Unglued Unhinged?
That sounds like the worst product of all time.
That would be the worst product ever. It's the novelty of the cards. If you've already seen them all, what have we accomplished? I guess we get to reprint the full art lands.
Why would you even reprint them? Aren't they all super cheap and accessible if you want to buy them anyway? Other than the basic lands, maybe, but I don't think there's expensive cards from those sets, are there?
No. I think there's a couple weird ones like Gleemax and Lotus, Mox Lotus, are weirdly more than bulk. No, I'm serious. Yeah, I mean, if you look it up, I think Mox Lotus is a few bucks. Gleemax, yeah, those are just off the top of my head, but
yeah, I'd rather have a master style reprint of Modern Masters than Unhinged.
Yeah.
Next question from True semicolon. What does the crew expect the price of the Bolas full art lands to settle at? Want them for 8 rack. So you're supposed to get 20 per fat pack, right? Or for bundle,
yes.
right?
And they're also in packs at a certain every so often, right? Isn't that the
1 in 5 or something like that? These can't be more than $1.
Wait, how much are the BFZ lands today?
Yeah,
those are a quarter.
Close to bulk.
All right. That's where I'm going to say these will be.
I think they might be a little.
Yeah.
I mean, they're slightly more rare, but there's going to be a ton of them anyway.
Maybe a little bit more. Maybe 50 cents, 75 cents.
And we're at full art land saturation.
Maybe 50 to 75 cents, I think, would be my prediction.
Okay.
All
right.
Next question from Randon Dark Rider. What are your thoughts on Razia's Purification in Commander? Who knows what this card does?
All right, I'll read it to you.
I think it's
it's Ravnica.
4 red and white.
Yeah.
Each player chooses 3 permanents he or she controls and then sacrifices the rest. That sounds like a ton of fun.
Oh God, no.
Oh, no.
I'm going
to play this
don't play these cards.
next week on Commander Clash.
Definitely play these cards.
I'm on the Tolbert school of thought. If you play this card, you better win right away. And you better not just play this card and be like, I got nothing, guys. And then prolong the game for another 2 hours for no reason.
Definitely do it.
Next question from Allegris38. Will Modern Zombies ever have enough pieces to be a tier 2 deck or better?
Speaking of Modern Zombies, I just saw a mono black zombies list place in the Classic last weekend.
I think we're pretty close to being there now.
We're pretty close.
We need 2 drops. There's no good 2 drops. We need We have enough 1-drops, but we need some 2-drops.
Yeah, you're right, because it was using the Aether
Bloodghast
vampire, the two. It was using that, but it was also using the one from Aether Revolt, the 2 black, 2/3 with lifelink, which I guess is okay.
Gifted
It's not a
Aetherborn?
zombie, but
What the?
yeah, that's the one.
What kind of zombie deck is this? Using Bloodghast and Gifted Aetherborn.
I don't know, but that looked pretty cool.
All right, next question from Palazzo47. You're making a magic movie. What planeswalker do you focus on, and who plays him or her?
I don't know.
Urza. Some person that looks like Urza. Preferably an Academy Award winner. So that we have like a legit movie, please.
Yeah, I
Urza has the best story. It has to be Urza, but they're not going to do it. It's going to be Gideon.
yeah, and it's gonna be like Hugh Jackman or something.
That would be such a mistake.
It has to
would be
be.
a
They're
huge
not going to
mistake.
push their old IP, the one with like actual story. So
I think it would be between Jace and Chandra. That's my if because Chandra's like kind of that like I think they're both like an easier sell.
yeah, I would say so. Jace or Chandra are probably the most likely ones, but I just don't want to watch this movie. All right, beer of Nihilea. 1 challenge: don't mention Hearthstone for a full episode.
Just
would've got
ruined
that
it.
if not for this question.
We would have. Yeah.
2,
Oh,
what card would it take to push Enchantress in Modern?
Sarah Sanctum would do it, I think.
an actual Enchantress?
All right, so stay tuned. The last segment of this cast, we're going to talk Ngoro spoilers or whatever the new set is for Hearthstone. We're going to compare them to Amonkhet and see what's up.
Get your 3 free packs.
Oh, do we get 3 free packs?
Yeah.
I need to go log into my Hearthstone account. Where are my
And
free
if you win-
Amonkhet
if you win-
packs?
If you win 10 games, you get a character skin for I think Rogue.
I haven't
you
played
go.
Hearthstone in so long. I can't. When I watch a stream now, I don't know what's going on anymore. At Sugi time, each new set I buy 4x uncommon and commons from the local game store for $40. Is it a decent price? Should I buy individually?
I think that's a pretty decent price, actually. I think that's like the normal going rate. I see some for
Well,
like
do you get
35
4 fatal
or something
pushes
like
in there? That is the question.
that. Yeah, I think so.
That would be a pretty good
Well,
price. But usually
yeah,
I
that's a pretty
just
good
scavenge draft bulk if I need to find some common or uncommon. But I don't collect the full set. But if you're actually after the full set for whatever reason, like, how much is your time worth? And is it worth saving $10 and, spending a lot of time putting this together? Because it's actually pretty hard and takes a lot of time to
I'm
get
looking
these.
on just browsing eBay right now, and it seems like 30 to 40 is pretty much the low end for that. So I think that's pretty fine. And you definitely don't want to buy them individually. You would spend way more, I think, buying them individually, most likely, especially when you consider shipping and all that stuff. So
Yeah. Next question from at the Ryan Gaines. What plane are we returning to this fall? Any guesses?
I think it is that Atlantis one, whatever it was. I think that we thought it was fake, but actually they were saying that because it was real and they didn't want us to know yet. the long
come on,
con.
Wizards, we know
No.
Con, yeah.
It's Dominaria, right? This
Yeah.
upcoming year is the 25th year anniversary, right?
Mm-hmm.
They gotta return to the birthplace of Magic. If they don't, then it's a massive fail.
This winter. For the winter set.
Or what if they return to it and it is a terrible set? What do we do?
I would honestly rather just to return to it and be terrible than like go to Mirrodin or some god awful artifact plane.
Okay,
again.
if it's
I
terrible,
would
we'll call in the
literally-
Eldrazi. We'll wipe the plane.
Yeah.
That'd be the return of the Phyrexians, though. Much better.
If we
than
get
Eldrazi.
another artifact, we need to go at least like 4 or 5 years before an artifact block again. We can't do it anymore. I'm tired of it. I'm so done.
artifact block is better than a lands block.
Oh.
All right. Oh. Gabe WR, you have to ban a non-top card in Legacy. What do you pick?
Top.
Wait.
It says non-top.
Has to be top.
Well, you take the easy answer, say counterbalance.
How about
there you go.
Delver? Let's ban Delver
Counterbalance.
secrets.
What card? Delver? Why are you banning
Because
Delver?
it makes it harder to do fun, janky things. Because they play a Delver, and then they just wasteland you, and then stifle you, and you never get to play Magic. And it's fun if you're doing it, but not fun to play against with squirrels or whatever.
You know what?
You wait to 2 mana, and then you just bolt the Delver and call it
Squirrels
a day.
don't get Lightning Bolt.
You know what? Just ban Brainstorm
that'd be
and
the
do it
worst.
already, alright? It's over.
Oh, that'd be the worst.
Just do it.
That'd be the worst.
As a green mage, it would make me feel a lot better knowing that's gone.
How to instantly lose like every legacy player ever.
Yep.
It's like you might as well just ban Black Lotus and the Moxen from Vintage.
Yep.
At Taveri Colgate, is it a good mono strategy to make your spells uncounterable by baiting an opponent into F6 and casting during your second main?
What do you think, Seth?
I personally don't feel right abusing Modo in that way. I try to make it as much like paper Magic. I guess it's probably not technically wrong, but personally, I don't like winning by the clock. I don't like trying to manipulate phases to get an advantage. That just doesn't seem sporting.
How do you bait someone into an F6?
Like sit
I'm
there
very
for
confused.
2 or 3 minutes until they get sick of it and F6 and then like, haha, second main phase, cast
Oh,
it.
you just slow play until they get... Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah, I wouldn't do that because I couldn't... I mean, you're making them wait 2 to 3 minutes, but you yourself are waiting 2 to 3 minutes, so you didn't
That's gotta
really
be a
accomplish
really
anything.
important spell because I'm not that patient.
You win.
Next question from the guy Doug. The first half of Magic removed from the game was truly removed. How do you feel that it's now evolved into Graveyard 2.0?
I don't agree with that.
So he's talking about the Exile Zone. Stuff used to go into exile and never do anything, but now we can
There's-
cast spells and return from exile and all kinds of shenanigans. What do you guys think?
Yeah, I know, like, I do remember them saying that not many cards in Magic's history would, and they said this back when, like, Miss Hollow Griffin was printed, but it's still pretty much a zone that does not...
It
It's
still
not
feels
the
like the
second.
zone of no return for me. Like, I know there's a few
Yeah.
cards that break it, and technically you can process your opponent's cards now, but there's not cards where it's just like, oh, 1 in a green, get this card back from your exile zone, and like, it doesn't feel the same to me, so I'm okay with it.
I think it's fine that the rules evolve. I don't know that it makes it worse or any better, but how long until we get a card that destroys an emblem?
Maybe
Yeah, I don't
Because
know.
I think that's happening
Maybe
sometime soon. That you can
maybe
interact
because
with
of Gideon.
emblems.
Maybe this new Gideon emblem will hasten
Yeah.
it.
They have to... you might be right.
It-
No, I
Embalm target
know it's...
emblem, it becomes a
Or
Gideon
gain
now.
control of target emblem, that would be sweet. I mean, when
Ooh, that'd be
Planeswalkers...
Yeah, I think they just have to
When
treat
Planeswalkers
emblems like
started, they
permanents.
didn't let anything interact with them, and then now they do. So I imagine the same thing will happen with emblems.
Next question. The Fallen 3274. Is Magic losing competitive players due to sets becoming more casual biased? I don't even know what this is referring to.
I don't... if anything, it's gaining more players. I don't know about competitive per se,
players.
I think I know what the question is.
but has there been a
I
significant
think that
drop
like
off?
sets have.
Is it because of power level dropping? Or like why are we saying it's more
I think
casual
it's
biased?
complexity. Like we went from damage on the stack. Like most of the rules changes have went to make Magic less complex, I guess, over the years, and often in a good way because it makes it more intuitive. But my guess would be that's what it's referring to. Even like the fuse change, like they made that rule more intuitive that you can't cast the split cards with whatever Goblin Dark Dweller or Brain in the Jar. But it also makes the game less complex and kind of that would be my guess as to what the person's talking about.
I see. I think if anything, it's losing competitive players because we don't pay competitive players enough. Not
that's
that the game is
yeah.
too easy or being dumbed down or stuff like that. It's more of the should I fly across the country? And then what was the latest controversy? You like X3 or something a GP and you don't make money, stuff like that. So I think that is more of an issue than, you know, that we have snake nagas or something in standard. I don't believe that is the actual cause of this.
Yeah, I think I agree with you. And I think how fun or unfun a format is plays into it. So I think if recently people have been not playing more, maybe it's just because they don't especially like the standard format, and those people will hopefully come back when the format changes.
All right, next question from No Jesus No Peas. Just started playing Enchantress in Modern. Is Cast Out worth a look, or is O-Ring better? So Cast Out is the instant speed 4-mana O-Ring that cycles for a white.
O-Rings, Flash is nice.
It's gotta be O-Ring, right? Like, what are you cycling for? You're playing Enchantress,
I think it's
you have removal,
right.
and you want to play enchantments. So I guess in some cases you'll try to cycle to get your actual Enchantress online, but for the most part, I think you don't need to cycle. You want the one less mana for the O-Ring.
Yeah, it sounds right.
Yeah.
Alright, Semper Nemo, with Death Shadow starting to eat other decks like Jund and Grixis, can you see it getting the Banhammer?
No, not really. I don't think it's that good, actually. I mean,
Yeah.
it's a good deck, but it doesn't feel oppressive to me at this point. I guess we'll have to wait and see. I think answers exist, and people just need to adjust to beat it.
Alright, at Cowhoo87, is Frontier dead? GP San Antonio had 4 people. GP New Jersey had around the same. Is this just GPs, or is it all over?
Yep.
I haven't heard a peep. Basically, Modern Masters 3 happened. And then that was the end of Frontier talk. I haven't heard anything.
Pretty much.
We still get events posted, so local game stores are still running them. But I think most people were unhappy with the price of Modern and went to Frontier. And with Modern Masters 3 coming out, even though prices didn't drop too much for the high-end staples, it dropped the price for other cards and people moved back to Modern? Is that what's happening?
That sounds about right. I think Frontier was just a outcome of discontent between, Standard and Modern. Like, if you don't like Modern or you don't like Standard, you play Frontier. If Standard's good and Modern's good, I think there's like little reason to play Frontier. I mean, obviously the people that are playing it and like it are going to continue to play it, and I think people should continue to play it. But these two GPs sounds like a little bit of an outlier, because I do think there's still some pretty good attendance.
Yeah, and also we just came off the hype of Modern Masters 3, and now we're in the hype of Amonkhet. Wait till stuff dies down and people need stuff to talk about, and then I think Frontier talk might crop up again.
Yeah.
Next question from Fat Lord Timmy. Can you guys comment on Moto's switch to all treasure chest payouts? Seth said you would do it last time, but you forgot. This podcast is already absurdly long. Seth, what are we going to talk about Moto?
Now I'm guessing it's going to be after we finish spoiler season. I figure next week will probably be spoiler season part 2, and then maybe the week after that we'll have time. But we will talk about it, because I still do want to talk about it.
All right, it's coming. At Billy Wilson MI, last question. With the new lands and Aven Mind Sensor, what do you think about more Wood Elves effects?
Yeah, that'd be cool.
I like it. Give me my my Wayfinder.
Wait, what is Wood
It's like
Elves do?
Nissa.
Oh, really? It's 2 and a green, it's a 1/1, and it gets you a forest card.
Oh, it's 3. Yeah, okay, it's 3 converted mana cost.
Yeah,
Wait,
it's 2 and a green.
What does Civic Wayfinder do? Oh, Civic Wayfinder puts it in
gives
your
you a
hand.
basic land.
And this is into play.
Yeah, and it puts you in your hand. Yeah.
Oh. So rampant growth, but you pay 1 more
And
for a
it
body.
comes into play untapped also.
Oh,
Yeah.
wait, what?
Yes.
Oh, the old cards. I like it. They're never going to print this.
Wood Elves is a staple. Even in Commander, I play it. Get you that Bayou, and you're good to go.
All right, that's all our fish meal for this week.
Awesome. All right, gentlemen, the cast is already really long, like you said. Stay tuned for more Amonkhet talk. We have the rest of this week, so we will discuss the rest of what we see, and the pre-release is next week,
Not
right?
this weekend, but the following weekend, yeah.
Yeah. Right. Okay. So we still have some time. All right. I think that about wraps things up for this episode. We will see you all next time. Hopefully the rest of Amonkhet is awesome, and we will talk about it more. So this is going to be the MTG Goldfish Crew signing out. See you all next time.